Before we start, please subscribe to Old Town Trucking on YouTube and follow us on TikTok. Now let's get started. Ever heard the one about the truck driver who thought he was a snail? Now this ain't your average tale. Picture this: a truck driver who's been on the road for so long, he starts to think that he's a snail. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? But stay with me here. This bloke, he's been driving these massive machines for so long, he starts to feel like he's carrying his home on his back, just like a snail. Every city he visits, every highway he traverses, he's got his trusty home trailing behind him. A bit of a snail's life, if you will. Now, if you're wondering how he came to this peculiar thought, let me paint you a picture of a truck driver's life. It's not all about driving huge vehicles and hauling loads from one place to another. It's about the thrill of the open road, the freedom of the horizon, and the joy of discovering new places. It's about the long hours, the solitude, and the sense of adventure. Being safe in the knowledge that you can just hang up on the prick in the office when he annoys you. It's about the camaraderie on the road and the bullshit shared at truck stops. It's about telling the boss that it's his fault, as he should have told you when you were listening. But with all the adventure and freedom comes a fair bit of challenge. Driving when pissed out of your skull isn't easy. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, then wondering how the hell you got there. It's about navigating through traffic, enduring all weather conditions and bending and breaking the rules with a trusted neodymium magnet. And let's not forget about the constant hum of the V8 engine, which can lull you into a trance, making you feel like you're part of the truck itself. So you see, it's not so far-fetched for our truck driver to think he's turned into a snail, a pretty fast snail without a speed limiter. He's been living on the road, carrying his home with him, facing the challenges head-on, and enjoying the adventures that come his way. And that, my friends, is how you end up thinking you're a snail on wheels. Now, let me spin you a tale about an unusual delivery. So, you've heard of our friend from truckingcontraband.co.uk who works at Old Town Trucking, right? Well, this bloke was known far and wide for his punctuality and reliability, a genuine stalwart of the trucking community. But this is not a tale of just any ordinary delivery. Our friend was tasked to deliver a precious cargo of oysters, the pearls of the sea. And let me tell you, oysters are no joke. They're delicate, they're fickle, yet even with a slice of lemon they make me shit through the eye of a needle, and they've got to get where they're going on time or it's a disaster. But our friend, he was up for the challenge. With a sense of adventure in his heart and a truck full of briny delicacies, he set off on his journey. The miles melted away beneath his wheels, and before he knew it, he was pulling up in Brittany and northwestern France ahead of schedule. Can you believe it? Ahead of schedule with a truck full of oysters. The fresher they are, the more they are worth. A lot more. Now, the folks receiving these oysters were understandably thrilled. Not every day you get your oysters early, is it? So, they decided to show their gratitude in a way only the truly classy can appreciate. They gifted our friend a bottle of champagne. Yes, you heard it right. Champagne, the nectar of the gods, for delivering oysters. Imagine that. You're doing your job, staying true to your word, and boom, you're sipping the bubbly. It's a testament to the unexpected rewards that can come your way when you're dedicated and reliable. But little did our friend know, this was just the beginning of his unusual delivery tales, with many more surprises waiting down the road. And that's how you get paid in bubbles, my friends. So, off to Boulogne-sur-Mer our hero goes with a gut feeling that something's off. Now, if you've ever been on a long haul, you'll know that strange feeling. It's not about the bumpy roads or the late-night radio chatter. It's something else. It's a sort of sixth sense, a trucker's intuition that tells you when things are not quite right. Our driver, a seasoned veteran of the roads, is no stranger to this feeling. He's had it before, like an itch you can't quite scratch. As he drives his V8 through the winding roads to Boulogne-sur-Mer, this feeling grows. It's as if the very air around him is tinged with a sense of foreboding. He's there to pick up a load of tires. A simple job, really, but his intuition is telling him there's more to it. The journey is long and grueling. The hours tick by as the scenery changes from the familiar to the foreign. There's a certain beauty to it all, the open road, the feeling of freedom, but even this can't shake off the gnawing feeling at the back of his mind. It's like a silent passenger, whispering in his ear that not everything is as it seems. Now, our driver is a professional. He takes pride in his job, in being reliable. So he doesn't let this feeling deter him. He keeps his eyes on the road, his hands on the wheel. But he can't shake off the feeling. It's there, like a low hum in the background, a constant reminder that something is off. And then he's there, Boulogne-sur-Mer. He just needs to load there and head for Belfast. But this is just the beginning. Little does he know, this journey is about to take a turn that would change his life forever. Remember folks, always trust your gut, especially when it's rumbling like a lorry engine. Now this is where things get a bit smoky if you catch my drift. Imagine the surprise, the heart-stopping shock, when our intrepid trucker pulls up in Dover, only to find his load of tires had a wee bit of a surprise nestled amongst them. 4.5 million cigarettes to be exact. Now that's not just a puff of smoke, that's a bloomin' wildfire. The eyes of the customs officers were practically popping out of their heads. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I were a customs officer, I'd probably need a few moments to compose myself. 4.5 million cigarettes is a lot to take in, even for the most seasoned of officers. And then, the inevitable happened. The handcuffs came out, and our trucker was arrested on the spot. Can you imagine? One moment you're delivering what you think are tires, the next, you're behind bars, trying to figure out how you ended up in this smoky mess. And to make things worse, the customs officer looked like a proper nonce. No one wants to be arrested by a nonce-looking cunt. But here's the thing, our trucker wasn't going to take this lying down. He wasn't going to answer questions to any nonce-looking cunt. And he was released on bail, ready to fight his corner, ready to clear his name. He knew he was innocent, and he wasn't about to let this hiccup become a roadblock in his life. The surprise of finding 4.5 million cigarettes in your truck, the shock of being arrested, the relief of being released on bail. It's a roller coaster of emotions, isn't it? It's like a road trip gone wrong, with a few unexpected detours along the way. And that, my friends, is what you call a smoking hot surprise. Life after a cigarette bust isn't exactly a breath of fresh air, let me tell you. It's like having a flat tire in the middle of nowhere with no spare wheel. You're stuck, staring at the horizon, waiting for the cavalry to arrive. And while you're waiting, your reputation, your livelihood, it all takes a hit. The aftermath of the incident was like driving through a foggy night with no headlights. Uncertainty was my constant companion, and hearing people say, "Have you got a light?" was wearing a bit thin. My job, my bread and butter, was hanging by a thread. The very thing I loved, the freedom of the open road, had turned into a nightmare that kept me awake at night. My personal life wasn't any better. The wife said that it was my fault. She told me that I should have stopped smoking years ago. If I had, then it wouldn't have happened. She's a bit strange, but I love her. Imagine having a dinner conversation with your mates where the main course is your recent arrest. It's like being hailed a hero day in, day out. Everyone thinks you're at it and you're a millionaire, but just when you think you're down and out, life throws you a lifeline. I still remember the day I got that letter, the one from the UK border agency. It was like a ray of sunshine piercing through the thick gray clouds. The letter stated that no further action would be taken against me. That was my ticket back to the open road, my redemption, my hope. It was a relief, let me tell you, like finding an oasis in the middle of a desert. That letter was more than just a piece of paper. It was a second chance, a chance to rebuild, to start afresh, a chance to get some money back. Cocaine smuggling is the natural transition, and the money is nothing to be sniffed at. And trust me, there's nothing sweeter than the taste of a fresh start, especially when you've been through the ringer. So remember, even when you're in the thick of it, there's always a chance for a fresh start. Now, let's lighten the mood with a bit of regulatory humor, shall we? So, you've got your truck, your cargo, and your destination. But in the grand orchestra that is European road transport, there's one conductor keeping time, and it's the EU driver's hours regulations. Yes, the very same rules that can turn a simple drive into a symphony of paperwork and precision timing. Picture this, you're a trucker cruising down the road, a cup of tea in your hand, and then boom, it's time for a break. Not because you're tired, oh no, but because the EU, the bunch of pricks that they are, says it's time. You see, after 4.5 hours of driving, you must take a break of at least 45 minutes, and no, they won't accept "but I'm not tired yet" as an excuse. But hang on, it gets better. In any 2-week period, you can't drive more than 90 hours. That's right, 90. Not 100, not 80, but 90. It's like they've got some kind of allergy to round numbers. And then there's the daily rest. After a long day of ensuring that your cargo gets from point A to point B, you must have a daily rest period. This isn't just a quick nap, mind you. We're talking 11 hours. That's practically half a day. Now, if you're thinking, I'll just work 7 days a week and take a long holiday, think again. The EU regulations state that you must take a regular weekly rest after 6 consecutive 24-hour periods of work. But here's my favorite part. If you infringe on these rules, and I mean even by a minute, you could be looking at a hefty fine. So next time you're thinking of pushing the limit, remember that the EU driver's hours regulations are watching, and you should carry a neodymium magnet just in case. And that, folks, is how you make sense of a rule book thicker than a trucker's sandwich. Well, we've had a few laughs, a few gasps, and maybe even shed a tear or two. So let's wrap it up nice and tight, like a well-secured cargo load. We've been on quite the journey together, haven't we? We've delved deep into the world of trucking, from the thrill of unexpected adventures to the stress of tiresome regulations. Our story from truckingcontraband.co.uk took us on a wild ride, didn't it? A trucker, our protagonist, known for delivering oysters faster than a seagull on a chip, suddenly finds himself in a fishy situation. A routine trip to Boulogne-sur-Mer for a load of tires turns into a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek with 4.5 million cigarettes. Customs officers in Dover, sharper than the edge of an Irish cheddar, spotted the smoky cargo, and our trucker was up in the air, like a lorry on a jack. Arrested by a nonce, then released on bail, he faced the uncertainty of what this might mean for his job, his reputation, and his life. But in the end, all's well that ends well, as the UK border agency decided to let sleeping dogs lie and take no further action. Now let's shift gears and revisit the EU driver's hours regulations. We've had a good chuckle over these rules, haven't we? The 9-hour daily driving limit, the 45 minutes breaks every 4.5 hours, and the fortnightly 90 hours limit. It's like being a kid again, with your ma telling you when to play, when to rest, and when to go to bed. But you can always bend the rules, or break the rules. It just depends on your mood that day, or if you're on a promise at home. But despite the laughs, we know that these rules play a crucial role in ensuring the government makes money from our truckers and everyone else on the road. And surely without these regulations, our contraband-carrying trucker might have been too tired to even notice the customs officers and just drive through the barrier. So, we've had our share of laughter, suspense, and lessons. And through it all, we've gained a new appreciation for the life of a truck driver. The open road, the unexpected adventures, the camaraderie, and yes, even the regulations, they're all part of the package. So here's to the road warriors, the truckers. May your deliveries be on time, your loads be light, and your contraband to remain hidden.